We're camping by Big Ben in Lajitas, Texas, and today we're going to make some homemade pizza, and I'm going to show you how. Alright, today we're going to make some pizza dough for pizza. We're going to start with, the recipe is basically 4 ingredients. We've got water, flour, salt, and yeast. So we're going to make a 63-4% hydration rate, which means 64% water. So I'm going to fill up some water here, and I'm using everything with a scale. The scale is going to make it very easy to make sure you get all the right measurements. And I'm using grams. So I don't have a big enough cup to put 630 grams in, so I'm going to have to do 2 different cups. How about that? 500. I need 130 more. And this is not warm water. I'm doing this as an overnight proof. So if you were going to try to use it in the same day, you would probably want to use 100-degree water. So 131, close enough. So that's 631 grams of water. Now I'm going to need some yeast. And for this recipe, I'm going to need 6 grams of yeast. We're also going to need 20 grams of salt. I'm using kosher salt. You could use sea salt or table salt. Ooh, a little much. Take some of that out. Okay. And then lastly, we're going to need some flour. And we're going to use we're going to use 100 or 1 liter, 1 kilo, 1,000 grams of flour. I'm using King Arthur bread flour. Normally I would use Caputo 00 flour, but I forgot it, so this is all I could get at the grocery store nearby at the campground. So we need 1,000 grams. I think that calculates to 2.2 pounds.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. Should be about half of this bag. There we go. We're going to add this to the mix.
Gotta make sure.
What I like to do is add a little bit at first, mix it, and then add the rest. This is just on a low speed mix.
Some of that's spilling.
That's okay. Mix this on low for 4 or 5 minutes till it comes together and the dough comes away from the sides of the bowl. Okay, now the dough has been mixed. We're going to take it out of the mixing bowl and we're going to put it into a bowl that we can store it in overnight to let it rise. So you want to see the bowl is pretty much clean. What I'm going to do is put a little olive oil in this, and you could use a plastic bag. This is called bulk fermenting or bulk proofing. So make sure you have a big bowl because this is gonna double in size at least. Tomorrow we will cut it into portions and roll them up into dough balls. And then we can use them later on in the evening when we start to cook. That's it. Okay, so this is the next day. The dough has proofed. You can see it's grown quite a bit. And we are going to get ready to ball up the dough and put it on these trays. We're using a little scale that I got from Walmart. I think this thing was like 12 bucks. It wasn't much. You can adjust it to metric. So we're going to set it to grams, and we're going to get going on cutting up the dough. Basically what I'm going to do here is portion it out. With one batch, you should get about 6 dough balls, each weighing somewhere around 275 grams. So what we're doing is just getting them right about the weight we want. We're going to set them aside. Once we get them all portioned out, we will roll them up. Okay, now I've got these just about all portioned out to the right weight, more or less. And we're just going to start rolling. We're folding underneath itself, folding the dough underneath itself, tightening it up to a nice little dough ball. And that's pretty much it. Set it aside. That tray was already kind of greased with a little olive oil. And just get a nice tight ball. And we get them all on the tray. And once we get them on the tray, then we will put a little oil on top of them, put the cover on, and let them rest a little more. So it's really easy. As you see what I'm doing, I'm just kind of folding it under itself, and then I kind of squeeze it together and tighten it up. And you can see how tight those dough balls are. So it's really not that hard to do. Once you do a couple, you get the hang of it. So the last one here, and you can see just kind of fold it under itself, and then you kind of squeeze it together to tighten it and roll it. You can also do this on the table, just make a ball. Here I am oiling the top of the dough balls with a little olive oil, and I'm going to get ready to let these rest before we're ready to cook. So here's our setup. You can see a table with the dough balls ready. Here's the oven. It's a Camp Chef 2-burner stove with the pizza oven on top, fired by propane, and this is what we're going to use. And so you can see those dough balls have proofed a little bit too much. Kind of took a little while to kind of get ready. But dip it in some flour. We're gonna flatten it out. Basically, we're stretching it, trying to make it thin. You want to leave the crust. You don't want to roll it with a roller. You want to flatten it out with your hand, but you always want to leave a little extra around the crust. We're stretching it as we go. Normally, you wouldn't do this on the pizza peel itself, but since I didn't have a real table to work on, kind of forced to do it. We're camping, so you kind of have to improvise. But in a real pizza setting, you would never, open up your dough on the peel. You would do it on a table, and then you slide your peel underneath it after the pizza has been dressed. So here's the sauce. Sauce I made using some San Marzano tomatoes. These are Cento brand. Basically, it's peeled tomatoes that I used an immersion blender to puree a little bit, added some salt and basil. Get some mozzarella cheese, not too much. Authentic pizza, you would use fresh mozzarella, but again, we're at the campsite, so we use what we got. And now we're ready to put it in the oven. And this is going to take a couple minutes. We've sped this up. I think this is going to be about 2.5, 3 minutes for this to actually fully cook. It was a little cold out, and the wind was kind of going. So this pizza didn't cook exactly as the way I wanted to. The oven wasn't fully hot enough yet. But it still tasted good. It just didn't get as brown as I would like it. So you can see it's, getting cooked pretty quick. And here's a pizza of another one that we did that was pepperoni.